Welcome back to our chilling series exploring the haunted corners of the Empire State, where history and horror intertwine in ways that defy explanation. In this sixth installment of Most Haunted Places in New York, we delve deeper into the shadows cast by ghostly legends, uncovering tales so spine-tingling they'll leave you questioning the boundaries between the living and the dead. From abandoned asylums to centuries-old theaters, New York is a treasure trove of spectral stories rooted in tragedy, betrayal, and unrelenting sorrow. New York's haunted places are more than just locations. They're vessels carrying the echoes of lives lived and lost. These sites bear witness to events that continue to reverberate through time: Revolutionary War battles, Prohibition-era scandals, unsolved murders, and the lingering presence of those who refuse to move on. Each place holds its own dark secrets, whispered through creaking floorboards, flickering lights, and disembodied voices that drift through empty halls. Whether you're drawn by morbid curiosity or an insatiable thirst for the supernatural, these destinations promise encounters that blur the line between reality and nightmare. In this episode, we'll journey to some of the most infamous haunted locales across New York, places steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of haunted hotels, explore eerie mansions cloaked in mystery, and tread cautiously through abandoned institutions teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of New York, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. The Chelsea Hotel, a beacon of art and apparitions nestled in the heart of Manhattan, the Chelsea Hotel stands as both a cultural landmark and a haunted icon, a storied residence that has housed some of the 20th century's most celebrated artists, writers, and musicians. Opened in 1884, the hotel quickly became a sanctuary for creative minds seeking refuge from the chaos of the city. Its Gothic Revival architecture, labyrinthine hallways, and bohemian charm attracted luminaries such as Mark Twain, Bob Dylan, and Patti Smith. Yet beneath its artistic veneer lies a darker narrative, one marked by scandal, tragedy, and the spectral echoes of those who met untimely ends within its walls. One of the most enduring legends tied to the Chelsea Hotel revolves around Room 100, said to be haunted by the spirit of Dylan Thomas, the Welsh poet who famously declared, "I've had 18 straight whiskies, I think that's the record." Thomas spent his final days at the hotel in 1953, succumbing to pneumonia exacerbated by excessive drinking. Guests staying in Room 100 frequently report strange occurrences: typewriters clacking without cause, faint whispers reciting poetry, and the overwhelming scent of whiskey lingering in the air. Some claim to see a disheveled man in a tweed jacket scribbling furiously in a notebook before vanishing into thin air, an apparition believed to be Thomas himself. Another prominent figure in the hotel's haunted lore is Nancy Spungen, the girlfriend of punk rock icon Sid Vicious. In 1978, Spungen was found dead in Room 100, stabbed in what was ruled a homicide but remains shrouded in mystery. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a female entity pleading, "Help me!" interspersed with anguished cries. Witnesses described seeing a young woman in 1970s attire pacing anxiously near the room, her face pale and hollow-eyed, before disappearing abruptly. The hotel's basement, once used for storage and laundry operations, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with cleaning the area often describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Some claim to see shadowy figures dragging invisible loads, their movements jerky and unnatural. A particularly chilling account comes from a maintenance worker who swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly. Overnight visitors to the Chelsea Hotel frequently recount bizarre experiences that defy logical explanation. Lights flicker unpredictably, especially in hallways leading to the older sections of the building. Doors slam shut on their own, and the scent of cigar smoke wafts through the air despite the hotel's strict no-smoking policy. One guest described waking up to find his reflection in the mirror staring back at him, but not quite matching his movements, as if another entity stood behind him, mimicking his actions. Another recounted seeing a man in a dusty miner's outfit standing at the foot of her bed, his hollow eyes boring into hers before vanishing without a sound. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Chelsea Hotel remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its rich tapestry of human drama, interwoven with tragedy and loss, creates an atmosphere unlike any other. For those brave enough to book a stay, the possibility of encountering Dylan Thomas, Nancy Spungen, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor crosses its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the darkness that lingers within these walls, or will they become another chapter in the hotel's tragic tale. The Amityville Horror House. Myth and reality collide. Few haunted houses in American history have captured the public's imagination as powerfully as the Amityville Horror House, located at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, Long Island. Made infamous by the 1977 book The Amityville Horror and its subsequent film adaptations, the house has become synonymous with supernatural terror. Yet, separating fact from fiction proves challenging, as layers of myth and embellishment obscure the true story behind its haunting claims. The tale begins in November 1974, when Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered 6 members of his family inside the home, shooting them while they slept. DeFeo claimed voices told him to commit the crime, a defense that ultimately failed to sway the jury. He was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. 13 months later, George and Kathy Lutz moved into the house with their 3 children, unaware of its grim history. Within weeks, they reported a series of terrifying phenomena: foul odors permeating the air, mysterious red eyes glowing in the darkness, and violent poltergeist activity that included levitating beds and slamming doors. After just 28 days, the Lutzes fled the property, claiming it was plagued by malevolent spirits. Skeptics argue that much of the Amityville story is fabricated, pointing to inconsistencies in the Lutzes' accounts and financial motivations for exaggeration. However, paranormal investigators and believers maintain that the house harbors genuine supernatural energy. Visitors to the property describe feeling overwhelming waves of dread upon approaching the front door, as though an unseen force resists entry. Inside, temperatures plummet inexplicably, and objects reportedly move on their own. One investigator claimed to capture footage of a shadowy figure peering through a second-story window, its silhouette distorted yet unmistakably humanoid. Local residents add further intrigue to the legend, recounting eerie encounters long before the DeFeo murders. Neighbors speak of hearing blood-curdling screams emanating from the house in the dead of night, only to discover it vacant when authorities arrived. Others recall seeing ghostly apparitions wandering the grounds, their forms translucent and ethereal. A particularly unsettling account involves a delivery driver who swore he saw a young boy standing in the driveway, beckoning him closer. When the driver approached, the child vanished without explanation. Modern-day investigations into the Amityville Horror House have yielded mixed results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the basement and master bedroom. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to original occupants. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Get out," and "Leave us alone." Despite, or perhaps because of, its controversial reputation, the Amityville Horror House continues to draw curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to separate myth from reality while grappling with the weight of its tragic legacy. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its cinematic fame or the possibility of encountering something truly otherworldly, the Amityville Horror House promises an unforgettable experience where the line between fact and fiction blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. The Morris Jumel Mansion, ghosts of revolution and romance perched atop a hill in Washington Heights, the Morris Jumel Mansion stands as a testament to New York City's colonial past, a grand Georgian-style estate built in 1765 that has witnessed over 2 centuries of history. Once the home of British Colonel Roger Morris and later Vice President Aaron Burr, the mansion exudes elegance and gravitas. Yet beneath its polished facade lies a darker narrative, one steeped in betrayal, heartbreak, and the lingering presence of those who refuse to fade into oblivion. One of the most persistent legends tied to the Morris Jumel Mansion centers around Eliza Jumel, the eccentric widow who purchased the property in 1810 and transformed it into a hub of high society. Known for her fiery temper and tumultuous relationships, Eliza married Aaron Burr in 1833, only to file for divorce less than 4 years later, accusing him of squandering her fortune. Her ghost is said to haunt the mansion, particularly the drawing room where she entertained guests. Visitors report seeing a regal woman in period clothing gliding silently through the halls, her expression frozen in eternal disdain. Some claim to feel an icy draft pass through them as she drifts by, while others report hearing soft humming emanating from vacant rooms. Another prominent figure in the mansion's haunted lore is believed to be Stephen Jumel, Eliza's first husband, whose death remains shrouded in mystery. According to local lore, Stephen fell down the staircase in 1832, sustaining fatal injuries. Some speculate foul play, pointing to Eliza's ambitious nature and rumored affairs. Today, guests recount eerie encounters near the base of the stairs, including sudden drops in temperature and the sensation of being pushed or tripped. Others describe seeing a shadowy figure lying motionless at the bottom, dissolving into mist when approached. The mansion's basement, once used for storage and wine cellars, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the narrow passageways, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a janitor who swore he saw a young boy playing with marbles in the corner of the room, only for the child to disappear when approached. Theories abound that the boy may have been a servant or enslaved person during the mansion's early years, forever trapped in the confines of its lower levels. Paranormal investigators exploring the Morris Jumel Mansion have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near the parlor and the dining room. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing in the doorway of the drawing room, its hands raised as if begging for mercy. These findings have solidified the mansion's reputation as one of New York's most active haunted sites. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Morris Jumel Mansion continues to attract curious souls eager to immerse themselves in its storied past. For those brave enough to explore its corridors, the opportunity to encounter Eliza, Stephen, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural grandeur or the thrill of peeling back the layers of its enigmatic history, the mansion promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. The Roosevelt Island Smallpox Hospital, shadows of suffering nestled on the southern tip of Roosevelt Island. The ruins of the Smallpox Hospital stand as a haunting reminder of New York City's battle against disease and despair. Built in 1856, the hospital served as a quarantine facility for smallpox patients, isolating them from the general population to prevent the spread of the highly contagious illness. Designed by renowned architect James Renwick Jr., the Gothic Revival structure exuded elegance despite its grim purpose. Yet beneath its crumbling facade lies a darker narrative, one steeped in suffering, neglect, and the lingering presence of those who perished within its walls. One of the most pervasive legends tied to the smallpox hospital involves the Lady in White, a spectral figure believed to be a nurse who worked tirelessly to care for infected patients. Historical records indicate that many nurses contracted the disease themselves, succumbing to its ravages despite their best efforts. Visitors exploring the ruins report seeing a translucent woman in a tattered white gown wandering the grounds, her face obscured by a veil. Some claim to feel an icy draft pass through them as she drifts by, while others report hearing soft humming emanating from vacant rooms. The hospital also bears witness to numerous accidental deaths and suicides that occurred throughout its operational years. Records show that several patients attempted to escape the facility, only to fall from upper floors or drown in the surrounding waters. Modern-day explorers recount eerie encounters along the perimeter, including sudden drops in temperature and the sensation of being watched. Some claim to see shadowy figures pacing restlessly near the edges, their forms dissolving into mist when approached. Others report feeling an inexplicable urge to jump, as though compelled by an unseen force. Adding to the hospital's haunted allure are the countless victims of smallpox who died within its confines. Many believe residual energy from their suffering remains trapped within the decaying framework, manifesting as phantom sounds of coughing and moaning. At night, when the ruins are bathed in moonlight, some visitors swear they can hear the distant wails of agony and the shuffle of feet, as though a procession of the afflicted continues to traverse the halls. Paranormal investigators exploring the Roosevelt Island Smallpox Hospital have captured compelling evidence of its supernatural activity. Thermal cameras reveal cold spots concentrated near the main entrance and the chapel, where many patients sought solace in prayer. Audio recordings pick up fragmented phrases like "help me" and "don't let go," delivered in tones of sheer desperation. One particularly unsettling discovery came when a team member set up motion-activated cameras overnight, capturing footage of a translucent figure standing motionless at the midpoint before vanishing without explanation. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Roosevelt Island Smallpox Hospital remains a popular destination for urban explorers and history enthusiasts alike. Its picturesque setting and rich history make it a favorite spot for photography and contemplative strolls. For those brave enough to venture onto the grounds after dark, the promise of encountering the Lady in White or one of the countless other spirits said to linger adds an element of fascination and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor steps onto the crumbling stone, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to face the echoes of the past, or will they become another chapter in the hospital's macabre legacy? The old Dutch church of Sleepy Hollow, echoes of legend perched amidst rolling hills and autumnal splendor. The old Dutch church of Sleepy Hollow stands as a cornerstone of American folklore. A modest yet majestic structure immortalized by Washington Irving in his classic tale The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Built in 1685, the church predates the United States itself, serving as a spiritual haven for generations of settlers. Its weathered stones and towering spire evoke a sense of timeless grace, yet within its hallowed halls lie stories of spectral horsemen, restless spirits, and the enduring power of myth. One of the most iconic legends tied to the old Dutch church involves the Headless Horseman, a vengeful Hessian soldier said to haunt the nearby cemetery. According to Irving's tale, the horseman rides forth each Halloween night in search of his missing head, striking fear into anyone unlucky enough to cross his path. Visitors to the churchyard often report hearing the thunderous hoofbeats of a galloping horse, accompanied by the sound of a blade slicing through the air. Some claim to see a shadowy figure atop a steed, its head tucked under one arm, vanishing into the mist without explanation. Another prominent figure in the church's haunted lore is believed to be Katrina Van Tassel, the object of Ichabod Crane's affections in Irving's story. Though fictional, her character has become intertwined with the fabric of the church's history. Guests recount sightings of a young woman in colonial attire wandering the grounds, her face illuminated by candlelight. Others describe feeling an inexplicable sense of longing or heartbreak, as though witnessing a love affair cut tragically short. Some even claim to hear faint laughter echoing through the pews, believed to be Katrina teasing Ichabod from beyond the grave. The church's cemetery, one of the oldest in the nation, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Engraved tombstones dating back centuries tell the stories of those laid to rest, yet many believe their spirits remain tethered to the earth. Visitors walking among the graves often feel an overwhelming sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching their every move. Shadows flit across peripheral vision, disappearing when directly observed. Others report seeing apparitions of men and women in period clothing, their faces gaunt and weary, performing tasks they once completed in life. Paranormal investigators exploring the old Dutch church have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near the pulpit and the crypts. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing in the doorway of the church, its hands raised as if blessing, or cursing, those who dared to enter. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the old Dutch church of Sleepy Hollow continues to draw curious souls eager to immerse themselves in its storied past. For those brave enough to explore its corridors, the opportunity to encounter the Headless Horseman, Katrina van Tassel, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its literary fame, or the weight of its historical legacy, the church promises an unforgettable experience where the line between legend and reality blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Patterns across New York's haunted places, themes of tragedy and resilience as we traverse the haunted landscapes of New York. From the opulent halls of the Chelsea Hotel to the somber grounds of the Amityville Horror House, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing wards of sanatoriums to the shadowed basements of courtrooms, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unethical experiments, or the betrayed trust of patients subjected to inhumane treatments, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic buildings, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: operating rooms where surgeries went awry, basements where bodies were stored, or wards where patients met tragic ends. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted hospitals, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each location's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal medical practices embedded in the DNA of older establishments contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere buildings into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted places captivate us? What is it about haunted places that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on the expertise of others to heal us, or where justice was denied, leaving wounds that refuse to heal. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. The core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted places exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, health and illness, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted places contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Long, sterile hallways lined with identical doors create a sense of disorientation, while poor lighting and echoing acoustics heighten sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant cough, the hum of fluorescent lights, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of older structures, with their hidden wings and underground tunnels, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight-or-flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. As we bring this chilling journey through New York's most haunted places to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of New York's haunted places yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam, stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken institutions offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all. But isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.